building a company, it's stressful. It's a lot of ups and downs. So we have to be able to attract people that actually want to be on that roller coaster with you. So it's been an interesting journey. So I started working when I was 12 years. Like the food waste problem before the COVID crisis, 1/3 of all food that was produced was wasted. And now during the Corona crisis, even more food is wasted. Our niche area there makes a huge impact just on our customers' profit and on the planet and people in general. Get control over what they purchase or what they have at home. They are able to be notified prior to things expiring so that they don't forget things. And they're able to get recipes automatically generated based on what they have at home.
Good morning, Charlotte. Welcome to PAC Talks with VJCV. Today we have Charlotte Aschim, the co-founder and CEO of TotalCtrl, creating a faster, fresher future and helping anything and everything around food. So welcome, Charlotte.
Pleasure to be here.
Before we get into how you started TotalCtrl and things like that, I just want to take a quick overview in terms of currently, because of unprecedented situation. I could see that TotalCtrl has been doing a lot of things to help the current situation.
Yeah, so our company is founded on the fact that we are helping companies and businesses within the food value chain in preventing food waste. So we're helping them save a lot of time and money when it comes to dealing with food inventory and expiration date and like food waste in general. So prior to the COVID crisis, we had a lot of income and customers within the restaurant sector, which had to shut down. So we saw that fall of revenue pretty quick. So we had to look for other things to kind of do. So we had to offer our solutions to other customer segments as one of the things that we've done. We have a lot of technology. So even though our restaurants is our target focus, we have, during the 2.5 years that we've had the company, we've built different types of solutions. So we had a lot of kind of feet to stand on. So we were able to use the technology that we already had and then just move it over to different customer segments. Like, for example, we're able to help farmers set up a marketplace that they could sell directly to consumers. We're able to give farmers the inventory control that we gave to restaurants prior. So we're able to help them with technology, basically help them from offline to online. And then we see that some of the restaurants and hotels are kind of slowly coming back and realizing that, okay, they need to be digital in order to survive in the future if something like this happens again. So a lot of them have seen the potential of like use this downtime to get on digital platforms. So some of the current or existing customers have kind of started using our solutions again and made sure that, okay, when the stuff is back and everything is in order, it will be like a fresh start, a digital future for them. So that's good to see. But we've done some changes and it's been interesting to see how we've adapted to the crisis.
Sounds interesting, Charlotte. So just to understand in terms of from where you come from and how you ended up starting TotalCtrl. So you started initially, you used to work in Burger King, and then you moved, you even worked in a kindergarten, and you have worked for a significant time in the construction industry. And from there, then you moved to this tech solution, and you are now being the leading innovator in terms of the food tech space. So can you talk about the journey from Burger King to again back to food now?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. So I started working when I was 12 years old, and then I have a lot of different experience in different fields of work. So like Burger King, working as a real estate assistant. So it's been a lot of different things, and building bridges in 3D and flying drones and stuff like that was kind of the last jobs that I had prior to starting the company. But we started the company based on our own experience working in grocery stores. So I was a lock manager and my co-founder was a manager of a grocery store. So we spent a lot of time walking the aisles of the grocery store looking for food that was about to expire or had expired.
Okay.
And we ended up with a lot of food that needed to be wasted. So it wasn't given away to charities, it was just wasted. And
Okay.
since we spent a lot of time on that, that was kind of the start of the company. My experience, I have a master's degree within land management. So I kind of didn't quite start the company before I realized that the timing for food waste was good. So 2.5 years ago, we saw that food waste was a topic. You had the UN sustainability goals and everything like that. So we saw that, okay, we faced the problem during our studies. We had a solution for it. We started like creating a prototype. I learned how to code, and then kind of sent that prototype out to different online retailers. And then one of them kind of became our customer pretty quickly. And then the journey, the entrepreneurial journey started.
Great. Total Control has been up and running for the last 2 years and 5 months. What is Total Control exactly doing?
Yeah, so we're a software company, and what we're helping our customers do is save time on kind of date check. So checking the expiration date of food products. So for when we work with retailers, for example, grocery stores, it was the routine of having to go and walk the aisle looking for food that was about to expire. So instead of doing that manual routine, we digitized it. So we made sure that we knew the name of the product, where it was, and when it was supposed to expire, so that we were able to go to that item prior to it expiring, move it to a marketplace, or just make sure it was sold instead of wasted. And the same we're doing for restaurants. So everything in terms of our technology is based on inventory control, based on expiration date.
Great.
So for restaurants, they use a lot of time. They have multiple storages. They use a lot of time walking those storages back and forth before ordering food, counting the items, looking at when things are expiring and stuff like that. So, and the restaurant industry, which is our target market now, is an extremely traditional industry, as well as there's a lack of technology within the entire value chain. So by us just fixing that small routine, we're able to reduce up to 85% in food waste, and we're able to save a lot of time and money because a lot is done manually and by pen and paper. So it's interesting to see that small thing and our niche area there makes a huge impact just on our customers' profit and on the planet and people in general. So that's fun.
Wonderful. The food value chain or the supply chain that we have, which starts from say the agricultural produce, and then you have the harvesting happening and the processing, and then the logistic which moves to the restaurants or places that the food is been used, and then from there the actual end use in the whole thing. Then there is the shelf life coming in for each of the products and each of the food items. So where do you come into picture in all these places? You fit into all these layers, or you have a specific place that you're coming in and supporting it?
Yeah, so our goal, the company's goal, is to eliminate food waste throughout the entire value chain, so from farmer and to consumer. But we're currently working with the consumer-facing businesses. So that means we are working with restaurants and then retailers. We're also working with schools and kindergartens, elderly homes. So everybody that has kind of the need to get control of their inventory in a digital way and make sure that they control the expiration date as well. So, and we also have worked with and are working with food banks. So that's kind of our area. We also have a solution for consumers. So we have a different range of solutions, but they all are based on that foundation of making sure that they know when things are expiring and where it is.
Great. So since you spoke about food banks, so I was about to come to that, because with the current situation wherein people are going through a very different stage of life, which people have not seen it coming, and even the government organizations across the globe are trying to do their best in terms of getting the food to the needy people. So how does Total Control help in doing that, very specific to the food banks?
Yeah, so basically what we do is that we make sure that it's easier for them to get food faster in and faster out. So currently what they're doing is that they're handling a lot of the food manually, and they always need to keep track of what comes in and what they hand out. And they usually do that by pen and paper now. So instead of doing that by pen and paper, we will make sure that we automate it and digitize it. So they are able to kind of get the food from the supplier as fast in as possible. They don't need to write it down and weigh it in the way that they currently do, but they can just, the supplier sends the information to the food bank in our system. And then once the food gets to the food bank, all the food bank volunteer has to do is just control that they have received the right amount of items. And once the food is in the food bank, the food bank has total control and real-time overview over their inventory. And we also have an interface like an app for charities.
Okay.
So different charities can see what the food bank has in store before going to the food bank. And this also helps with the the contact-free and the health and safety issues now. So now the charities are able to know what the food bank has. When they come to the food bank, they're able to use their own phone to register what they take out. All the food bank volunteer has to do is just basically check that they've taken out the right kind of items. Once that's completed, the charities are off. So it's kind of more self-service than it currently is.
People never thought that something like this will come, and then you'll need solutions like this. I would say that you people have been getting ready for this, say 2.5 years back.
Yes, that's true.
Though none of us would like to have such a situation, but it is interesting to see that you were able to develop something, and that product is being used as a solution.
Yeah, and if you go back to the food waste problem before the COVID crisis, 1/3 of all food that was produced was wasted. And now during the Corona crisis, even more food is wasted, and especially due to the fact that farmers are not able to sell it to restaurants anymore or hotels. So they're lacking a sales channel, and they're lacking a way to get that food out there, as well as the food banks are not able to take in all of the food because they have limited storage as well. So you have to have multiple food banks now to be able to handle all the food. So there's a lot of logistics and distribution issues now. So what the industry says is that they've realized now that they have to shorten the supply chain. So they have to make sure it's more viable, more digitized, more that you're able to distribute it and transport it more locally. Also because there will be maybe more restrictions on import and exports, which will be hard for the industry. So there's a lot of issues from this crisis, but there's also a lot of opportunities to make sure that the supply chain and the value chain is more sustainable in the future.
Yes. So I'll slightly expand what you currently spoke about. So the pre-COVID era, wherein the value chain system was almost set in place, that farmer makes produce, and then automatically it goes to the buyers, and from there to the restaurants, though you have a lot of layers in between that, and then the end consumer. During this COVID time, what I could see that there are a lot of videos and articles doing rounds in social medias, wherein farmers are finding it very difficult in terms of because they cannot stop the produce because it's already been there, and it's been ready for the harvest, and it is now ready to be given out. So, but then there is no one who can actually go there and buy them, and the whole food is going waste. Especially food items which are which have a very low shelf life, like your strawberries and blueberries. The flowers also, I don't know if there's a solution that can come into the flowers industry as well, because I could see that a lot of flowers are also getting destroyed across the globe. But food, definitely, because food is something that everyone is the very annoying factor is that people need food, and people are waiting for food across the globe, and then you have one segment of people who are producing it, but they are not able to sell that, and it's getting destroyed. How do you see to help these farmers? Is there a way you can directly help these farmers?
Yeah, so the one thing that we have to start with, and we have started with, is just help the farmers get on to a online sales channel. So make sure that it's easy for them to sell direct to consumer. and in a safe way. I know that a lot of farmers do it via Facebook and other platforms, but that's not a safe place to do trade.
Yeah.
So like just what we've done is that we've created marketplaces where the farmers could just add their information. They have to add the information that is required by the regulations for each country, of course, like health and food safety. And then the consumer could just buy from them. And what we've also seen is that the best thing to do is like have a pickup point on the farm or close to the farm or a hub, so that the farmer doesn't need to pay for transportation or stuff like that, because in most cases the farmer wants to have most of the cash because they've already lost so much money, so they want to make sure that they can sell it direct without any additional fee and stuff like that. And we also see that a lot of the farmers are not that digital. They're not that good at marketing themselves, so we're helping them get kind of more visibility, so that people, especially like that the local areas, know that you're able to purchase from the farmer next to you, and make sure it's so easy for people to do that local trade that I think will be more and more important moving forward.
Yes. So before I get into the next question, I want to understand. So the farmers across the globe can start using Total Control, or is it specific to Norway or Europe?
So for the farmers side of things, we're just doing that for Norway. So we're just setting it up for Norway to start with. I know that a lot of different tech companies, have started to do the same for their region or their country. And we see, like, because we have that network of farmers in Norway, so we're able to easily onboard them. We're starting with it in Norway just to have it like a small scale test in Norway, and then spreading it global after that. But as far as our solutions when it comes to the inventory control and stuff like that, that's something that everybody can use. So we're releasing a new version on Monday now, which could be downloaded on Google Play and App Store, and then everybody can sign up and start getting control over their food, and making it so much easier for them to know what they have and their shelf life, and be able to sell it prior to losing the food and the money.
Great. Yeah. So the next segment that's been impacted in terms of the food space that we are talking about is the restaurants, because of the closures which happened during the start of COVID, and still many restaurants, they have partially opened. They are doing takeaways. Some are planning to come back, but they are not sure in terms of how to go about it, how many customers they will actually have, what will be the supply and demand. And I could see that Total Control has got a restaurants solution that you have. So how does that help in planning all these things?
So yeah, it's hard to know the future of the restaurants now. Some of them will survive, but we see different stats in terms of like 50% of the restaurant industry will be shut down, and everybody has to kind of start fresh. So like it will be multiple restaurant startups growing up. But the ones that will survive, they need to kind of think more digitally, and try to get everything that they can over to online platforms. So for what we're helping them with, the good thing with our solution is that we're helping save a lot of money. So we're helping them cut costs. And that's kind of our selling point to them, because they need now to think about how can they cut costs, how can they ensure that they're not spending too much time on unnecessary routines. So making sure that they spend time on selling food instead of walking around looking for the food that is about to expire, or just handling food. So I think for our sake and what we're doing, we're in a great position to help, which is a big thing for us, because now our technology can help in a different way than it could maybe prior. So it's more like now we're helping them survive, and helping them survive longer with the money that they have, and make sure that they can hopefully get out of this as soon as possible. And our solutions are able to create value from the very start. So once you start using it, and once it's been a month, you've already seen that you have better control, and you're purchasing new items better. So you're not over purchasing. You're kind of you're able to use what you have and not have something be wasted. So there's a lot of great value of having that total control over inventory and expiration date.
Great.
So I think like, yeah, for the countries that it still has restaurants open, we're still a value. And for the ones that are coming back, I think it will be more and more important for them to use our solution.
Great. Another thing that the restaurants are facing, the challenge that they're facing is that they would have stockpiled a lot of inventories. Some would have longer shelf lives, some would have shorter shelf life. And there would be restaurants who were not stocking things, and they need the currently, they want to buy a lot of things, but they are not available. So is there a way Total Control is helping to bridge that gap?
Yeah, so what we've done actually, like from the very start when this happened, what we did was that we contacted our prospected clients, the restaurants, and our existing restaurant clients and said, okay, we know that you're locking down. So do you have food that you see will expire within the 4 next months? And make sure that you register the food in our system, and then we can help you sell it. So basically, because in Norway now we have a project where we have a school which is turned into a production kitchen. And that school and that company that is running that school, they are able to purchase food from the restaurants.
Wow.
So the restaurants that are not able to survive and haven't given away the food to the employees or sold it prior, they're now able to sell it to that school. The school will make food based on the food that is about to expire or go bad. And then that food will be put on to Good to Go's platform. So it's kind of a collaboration between different companies and different systems. And To Good to Go is already dealing with food waste, but they're helping reduce food waste and selling it to consumers. So we're just collaborating and helping make sure, okay, the items that the restaurants have, they are going to be on our platform because we need that information about what it is and how much it is and the expiration date. That information is sent to the school. The school is able to, within 24 hours, to just give the restaurant an offer on the food. If the restaurant says yes, the food is picked up, and then the school starts making the food, preparing it, and adding it on to Good to Go. So it's kind of a way of redistributing the food that otherwise would go to waste.
I could see the numbers are very interesting in terms of the savings that you talk about when it comes to the restaurant industry.
Yeah, so it's different from restaurant to restaurant, of course. So we usually use percentage instead of amount. But like food waste wise, we're able to reduce up to 85% because we're preventing food waste from happening. We can of course like go over 85%, but like that's kind of where we're having our cap. And then we're able to reduce the time and the money spent on it up to 90% pretty fast. And the reason why we're able to do that is because, first of all, they spend multiple hours, and this depends on the size of the restaurant. So multiple hours just ordering food. They spend a lot of time like controlling the food, the expiration date, and counting the food. So doing stock count takes them a long time. And they're spending a lot of time like always knowing what food is in the different storages. So because they have that lack of control and they don't have that real-time overview, they spend a lot of unnecessarily labor time, which costs them a lot of money because now it's like 25 to 40% of the cost for a restaurant is connected to inventory. So it's connected to food inventory, whilst 30% is connected to labor. And if you can reduce time on those categories, you would help the restaurant and the margins in the restaurants so much. So that's kind of where we're helping them. They use a lot of pen and paper. That information on pen and paper has to be punched into an Excel sheet and sent over to an accountant. So there's a lot of time involved.
Yeah.
So prior to creating the solution for restaurants, we mapped multiple restaurants and kind of mapped the routines. So we followed them and we filmed them, we took pictures, we followed their daily routines and stock counts just to see, okay, where could we save time? And because time, like it's equal money.
Yeah.
And then where does like the inventory, because we knew that inventory was a source of food waste because they lacked that control.
To talk a little bit more about that, because When I looked up TotalCtrl, it's a tech provider who could help in managing the food waste. But when I read more about TotalCtrl, I could understand that you are also helping companies, organizations, or restaurants to increase their profitability and also help their pricing strategy right, especially for the uh, grocery stores. So, how are you able to do that?
So for the restaurant, for example, for the restaurants, what we help them with is by having more control over inventory, they're able to detect if, for first of all, if the supplier is not delivering the items that they're supposed to deliver, and if they're delivering items with a shorter date than they should. So we're able to detect that pretty fast, meaning that the restaurant can go back to the supplier and say, hey, 10% of the items that you're delivering each year, they have a shorter date than they're supposed to, or they're not getting delivered. We need to negotiate the terms, or just we have to remove you as a supplier. So it gives the restaurant more power. And for example, like you mentioned, we've worked with retailers, grocery retailers prior, because of our own experience from working in grocery stores. We started there, but what we help them with is basically be able to see when things are about to expire. And by having that information, they're also able to detect, okay, if let's say a milk has 4 days left, and we see based on the numbers that we're not able to sell out all of the milk that has that expiration date, we need to take some action. So we either need to kind of discount the price or put it in a space where it's more handy for, or more easy for the consumer to reach it, and put it in a marketplace or something like that. So anything that we can do and learn from that data, product data, amount, and expiration date, is so valuable because it gives you that forecasting information as well. Because in most cases, in grocery stores and the value chain has agreed upon the purchasing of food a year in advance. So the farmer knows what to harvest. The grocery store knows what's going to be in the store the next month and the next month. So there's no room for changing and kind of adapting to if it's COVID crisis, if it's bad weather, and like it's no room for like doing a lot of things that makes it easier to sell everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so great.
Mm.
We spoke about profitability and pricing strategy,
Mm.
and now I could understand that you can actually help with the sales forecasting as well in terms of the whole value chain and help them forecast how the sales is going to be. And Another thing that I could see when I was doing a research on Total Control, and since you spoke about that the restaurants, there will be a lot of startup restaurants coming up in the future because uh, there will be a lot of them who will go through a bad time and they will have to shut down, and then there will be people who will try to find their own ways of coming out, and then one of the avenues is to open up restaurants to survive for a person who has got limited knowledge of technology and everything. So he doesn't have to go anywhere else. You can be a one-stop solution for that.
Yeah, so for the basically what we've done like for grocery stores is that we made sure it's easy for them to do marketing campaigns online and offline. So currently they and this is time and this makes you see like how traditional the industry is, because a lot is done manually. So just kind of printing out and making advertisements in a grocery store is done. It's they spend so much time on it. So instead of having that be the case, we make sure it's so easy for them to see, okay, if they know that an item is expiring or need to be discounted or just fronted in a way that it's sold easier, they're able to do that by clicking 3 steps in our solution. So they're able to publish it online or offline and print it out. So that makes it easier, as well as we have partnerships with sales channels for restaurants. So for example, what we're doing in the future now is connecting our technology for restaurants with a sales platform. So it's easy for our customers to just add their recipes and their menus on that sales platform because it's the information is flowing between the two solutions.
Great.
So I think that's kind of the thing in the future now, more holistic solutions that are able to communicate across technology.
Great. You spoke about recipes, so it's a very interesting topic. And you have partnered with an artificial intelligence company known as Hala, and I could see that you're doing some wonderful things with them. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, so we're the partnership with Hala is mainly because our plan was to go into the States. They are based in the States. We're planning on doing that in 2022, and still is the plan. And they're more of an AI or platform for providing, letting people know that okay, if you buy this, you're most likely to buy this, and helping kind of the grocery stores help the customer buy more or buy more accurate or more healthy and more efficient. So what we're doing with them is we haven't like started the tech connection yet, but that's the plan, making sure that we can combine our technology and provide such a more of a holistic solution for our customers, and then it would be so easy for online retailers and other customers to just know what they have and sell what they should, which is important. But in terms of recipes and stuff like that, we've mentioned a lot of solutions that we have, and in some cases people get confused because we've done so much in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we've done, and what we're also gonna scale more into international scale, is our consumer solution, because now more people will be less fortunate in terms of lower salary and people not having salary. There will be more people like having to really take a deep look into the financials. So what we're helping consumers with is that we're launching now an app for the Norwegian market only first, which helps the Norwegian citizens get control over what they purchase or what they have at home. They are able to be notified prior to things expiring so that they don't forget things. And they're able to get recipes automatically generated based on what they have at home. So that means that even though you have 2 ingredients or 3 ingredients, you're able to cook something and use it before purchasing more.
Wow.
And then you have that.
Yeah. And UN has been talking about the sustainability development goals, and you come and actually you come and fit into the sustainability development goal in a very apt way. So and I could see that you have tied up with partnered with Development Goals Forum and places like that. So how do you help in your companies or organizations achieve that SDGs?
So since we're dealing with food waste, we are directly on the UN Sustainability Goal 12.3, which is halving food waste before 2030. And that's kind of the prime goal. But we're also affecting goals like end hunger and collaboration between businesses and stuff like that. And what our partnerships and the partners that we have in the past and in the future now are all connected to either the sustainability goals, creating awareness about the problem, and connecting the solutions, and also like being in the food industry, so in a different level than we are. So we're able to be a provider of kind of a network of different solutions that are providing value to make sure that businesses keep to their KPIs when it comes to sustainability, because a lot more businesses now have KPIs when it comes to either like just preventing and reducing food waste, cutting costs, digitizing, being more sustainable, calculating the CO2 emissions. So there's more and more of that. And I don't think that's going to disappear even though the COVID crisis is there. So it's going to be more important to be sustainable, because sustainability means profitability as well.
Yeah.
So it's I think just leveraging on knowing more that the future will be more local, more digital, more sustainable, and going and creating solutions that will help with that. It will be more and more important. And as well for the Development Goals Forum, where they are experts within the different sectors of the UN Sustainability Goals, and we are providing expertise within one of the fields. So we're kind of helping each other out, because if our customer needs expertise within one of the sustainability goals that we don't have that prime expertise in, we can kind of get them in. Great. And vice versa.
Great. One of the main challenges that food overall that brings into the global scenario is the amount of CO2 that gets generated because of the food waste. Using Total Control or any of the tech solutions or the food waste management solution, can companies also use this as a way to turn themselves into carbon positive?
Yeah, and then we see like we are gonna kind of combine our technology with more CO2 calculations and stuff like that. We already measure the impact in terms of food waste reduction, cost, and time, and then we're going to go more into CO2 emission and the calculations. There are a lot of different ways of calculating CO2 emissions, so we have to make sure that we're using what we feel is most reliable in our industry. But as far as like we're dealing with food waste, and food waste is one of the prime emitters of CO2, because when you throw away food and it hits the landfills, it creates methane gas, which is 23 more times potent than kind of regular CO2. So it's hurting the planet in a different way than most know, because it's so hard on the planet when we waste food, and we waste a lot of food. So the more that we can decrease that food waste, the better.
Coming to the achievements that Total Control has gained in the last 2 years and 5 months of the time that you have been operational, you have been rated as world's most innovative company by the Retailer Insider, and you are also helping the European food space and being a leading innovator on this. So, how do you see yourself as, because people have started looking up to Total Control as more than a solution. They are looking at Total Control as a way of going ahead, the future. People looking up to you in terms of what Total Control is going to be doing next. So, how do you see that?
I think, first of all, I think it's extremely, it's an honor, and like it's fun to see, because it means that the work that we've done for the 2.5 years, it's paid off. And one of the things when we started the companies was that we had to focus on building credibility. So we had to be like, we have to know the most about food waste. We have to know the most about the food industry. We have to be connected to the right players and kind of build credibility in our product and the results that we're showing. And luckily that has paid off. We have over 20 awards on different aspects in terms of like our impact that the company does for like customers, and the impact it does for creating jobs and awareness around the issue and the environment. So it's good to see that it pays off, and it also helps us because one of the things which is great for us is that a lot of people are applying for jobs and kind of reaching out to us to want to work in our company. We're getting a lot of attention for being leaders within the space. We are the leading food waste prevention technology company, and we are extremely good within sustainable technology. We're often asked to speak for big corporates about sustainable leadership, sustainable technology, digitizing fairly manual routines, and talking about food and food waste. So it's good to have that arena of creating awareness, because this is a huge problem which is not really that focused on. So the more information and more that we can spread the word, make sure that we are still kind of being the leading player and being able to also help other players that are coming up now kind of continue and follow us in that journey. That's major for us, because we know that we are good and we are dealing with this in a great way, but we need more solutions to help the problem because it's so big.
So you spoke about jobs, and people are applying to Total Control and trying to be part of Total Control. And I could see that in the recent past, you have got some great industry leaders joining Total Control. So how do you take them on board in terms of creating that extra value add for Total Control?
Yeah, so one of the things that we did also pretty early is that me and my co-founder knew pretty quickly what was our strengths and our weaknesses. So we knew that we needed to get experts within different fields. So from the very start, we kind of reached out to the big kind of, both in Norway and outside of Norway, people that had the knowledge that we were lacking. And that started turning into mentors and advisors and people like wanting to help us. And then now since we've grown as a company, now it's more formal. So we have a board of advisors, a board of directors, and those are leading, or like they're extremely well within their field of expertise and what we need. So we have experts within the industry, the technology, and scalability, business development, financials. Yeah. So that's needed now because we're at the point where we need to have more things like that in order. But yeah, just having that network of good people around us is so valuable because it's hard for us to know everything that's going on in the world. So the more people that we have around us that can say, okay, this is happening in Asia due to the COVID crisis. This is affecting import and export. This is how the value chain will change. And like, this is what happens in Europe. This is what happens in technology, like financial. So that's good for us to, especially now that the COVID crisis was here, because there was so much information that we had to, as a management team, had to get some sense of in order to say, okay, our company is well positioned in this phase, but we need to make sure that our employees don't panic. We need to make sure that we have the financials to back it up and to stay alive for as long as possible without getting additional revenues in or investment. So like having people around us has been so valuable because there's so many great people out there and they all wanna, like for us, we've been lucky enough that they see the potential of the company. They see the vision and they see that they have something to bring to the table as well. So they want to teach us, they want to be part of that journey, which is amazing. We have a lot of good people around us.
Great.
It's fun.
I want to understand whether TotalCtrl is self-funded or you have got investments and investors who are part of TotalCtrl.
So we was self-funded pretty long. So me and my co-founder, or mostly me, I put in a lot of money in the company. So just to kind of stay away from investors as long as possible. But when we started to get that traction and the speed that we got, we needed more capital to ensure that we could pay people and could develop the solutions and take care of our customers in the way that we wanted. So we currently have angel investors and we have also some bigger investment firms, and they are all like, the main thing or the kind of the common thing is that they want to make the world a better place. And of course that means like they see the financial return of our solution or company, but they also see the more to the environmental and the planet and the bigger picture of it as well. So we have a lot of good supporters that are able to kind of be with us next round and continue supporting us, which was major for us. We also, the first ones that we took on board was more strategic. So people that could help us connect to customers that had the expertise that we needed, was within areas that like me and my co-founder, we hadn't had any experience building a company prior. So we've had leadership experience and stuff like that from other companies, but not build a company on our own. So there was so much to learn, and there's still a lot to learn. So we know that we need help, and we're lucky enough to have a lot of people that wanna help us.
Great. So another point that I wanted to pick up from what you spoke currently and the one before this is that a lot of startups have come up in the last couple of years, or there are a lot of startups who are currently still thinking about coming out with something new or starting their own journey. And I could listen to you that you said that we were not experts, and you accepted the fact that you were not experts and you were looking for the right people to be there to be part of your system to grow. So how important is that to accept your weakness and then get people on your board according to that, and then try to grow?
I think it's extremely important, especially in the start, because the more that you know about yourself and the people that you have on your team, what kind of strengths and weaknesses they have, the easier it is for you to know, okay, this is the person with the person kind of the skill set and the personality that we need next phase. Because startup and running a business is different stages. So the first year was a year that we needed certain people, and the second year we needed different people. So it's kind of changing as we grow, and it's also changing in terms of like how like building a company. It's stressful. It's a lot of ups and downs. So we have to be able to attract people that actually want to be on that roller coaster with you, and then you like have to have people that are also able to learn quickly. So one of the key kind of criterias when we hire people is that we have to see that they're willing and able to learn fast, because I think that's one of the major benefits of like being in a startup is that you learn a lot of things. And if you're able to like extract the good things about learning good things from a lot, it's so valuable in terms of being on the journey. And then also like being problem solvers is a major thing. So yeah.
Great. So for people who want to either do a startup or want to work with a startup, so the positives are that you get to learn a lot in a very short span of time, and then you can be the part of the problem solutions that you come out with. So that's a wonderful way to put it across to people who are actually on that fence of whether you should jump inside the startup industry or not. So it's a very nice message to put it across. You spoke about your employees when you were saying that there is a lot of learning that employees can get out of this, and I could see that there are you have got employees from different nationalities.
Mm.
Yes. Is there a reason why you thought of picking up people from different nationalities for the diversity, or is there anything specific to that?
Yeah, the more like I didn't really think about it in at the start. Like I didn't care if you were like from wherever. I didn't care about your age or your experience and stuff like that. All I cared about was like, are you willing to learn? Are you able to join this journey? And are you able to produce results? That's kind of the key things. So the gender, age, anything like that, that doesn't make any
Difference.
good or bad, yeah, difference. So for me that, but we've been asked a lot about that in the past year. Like I've been speaking at a lot of conferences about like more equality and just making sure like stuff like that. So I think it's good. The more and more I think about it, the more, because we have different perspective uh, from different people and different educations and different cultures. So it's good. And if, of course, it's like it's a downside as well because we have cultural differences. So meaning that people work in different ways, are experienced with different things. So, but it's like everybody needs to adapt and respect each other, and then we'll be fine. But I think it's been valuable because it's so, for me as well, it's important to see how other people work and based on their experience and their culture and stuff like that, how they're thinking. And that's like combining those thoughts makes sure that we're able to have a lot of a perspective in developing solutions and scaling the company. So it's been extremely important, even though I didn't start out thinking about it.
Great. For the last say 2 or 3 years, or maybe more than that, the one of the key things across the corporate and across the global business ecosystem, one of the key things that we have spoken about was the woman entrepreneurship and women coming into the tech space. And you and your co-founder, you both fit into the bill very well. So, can you speak a little about you and your co-founder, how you have been, how you came together? Because yes, you were working at the same place, but still, there are a lot of things that needs to be spoken and decided upon before getting into a startup journey, and how you've been both coping up for the last 2.5 years.
So like me and my co-founder, we're best friends. So so that helps. And the thing is that we're extremely different from each other. So she's more on that marketing HR perspective, whilst I'm more on the technology and like the business side of things. So that makes a good blend for us. So we're kind of good in that way. But yeah, so that we didn't like, as mentioned, in terms of like people being from different places. I didn't like think about being female tech founders before everybody wanted to talk to us because we were female tech founders. I've always, and my co-founder also has worked in companies and businesses that have been mainly male dominated. So we've kind of always handled that and haven't seen it as a, of course it's some differences and some struggles with it, but we kind of were used to it from the start. So being a female founder, I would say, is more of an advantage than a disadvantage, especially because when I have like tattoos, piercing, blue hair, and I'm a female tech founder within sustainability and changing the world and being like a leading expert, it helps. It sets me apart from the others, and I like that. There's more than enough kind of guys at a certain age in the startup scene, and they're blending in with each other. So you have to set yourself apart, and like Steve Jobs with his turtleneck, and like you have to be something else. You have to be a bit strange to also create a business because it demands so much of you.
Interesting that you brought about this topic up in terms of the your hairstyle, the unique hairstyle, and the way you carry around yourself. Because it took me a couple of minutes to understand. Okay, this is actually a founder of a company. Because when I see you, more or less look like a rock star, just out of college, and maybe going for a gig or something like that, or for a music concert or something like that. So you have been like this all throughout your life, or you have taken up this identity in the recent past? How it is?
Mom was surprised when I came up with blue hair. No, I actually, like, before I started the company, one of the things that I realized after, like, because I was reading and watching a lot of videos and talking to a lot of people that had the experience of being an entrepreneur, and one of the things that I kind of noticed was that you have to set yourself apart. And you have to have something that makes you different from the others. And if you have something that is also helping you brand yourself, it helps. I dyed my hair blue or fixed my hair blue prior to going to a Coachella festival in California. So it was kind of, yeah, the thought was doing it for the Coachella festival, and then kind of, okay, the blue hair looks good with my eyes, so let's continue doing that and use it for branding with the company. So it has kind of worked, like it was sort of sort of a plan and not a plan, but it has worked out as like good branding for us.
Great. I could see that you yourself have got a different entity as Carlot Scheme fund or something like that. So do you invest in other companies?
Yeah, so the plan was, before I started the company, was to invest in other companies. And then I realized, like, because I was kind of training to be an investor. But then I realized, okay, I need to understand how it actually is to kind of start a company, because now I have more of an understanding of the people that I want to invest in the future, because I know, okay, it takes a certain person to be able to start a company and run a successful company. So I'm glad that I kind of jumped on that entrepreneurial side prior to investing more in other companies. But the plan is to invest more and more in other companies moving forward. But just now I have more than enough to focus around the business that I'm running first, and then do more of the investments later.
Great. Final few questions. One, currently people across the globe can start using TotalCtrl, or is there a geographical demarcation still happening that who all can use it?
So some of our solutions are available for 155 countries. That's mainly the retail solution and the restaurant solution. As for the other solutions, those are still more for the Norwegian and Nordic markets, but the plan is to scale them now because they're so applicable to the situation, and we want to make sure that we help a lot of people.
Great. You spoke about that consumer solution that you're going to come up with. So will that be a global launch, or will that be again specific to Norwegian region, and then you will scale it up? How it is?
Yeah, so that would be for Norway first, because we're so dependent on the product database from Norway and the recipes, like local recipes that are connected to a country. So the plan is to connect with more and more partners that either are recipe providers or that has the product database for the country. So that's the plan, to kind of connecting with partners that has that information, and then using our shell in terms of the app, and then kind of that partnership would be more like that partner will get some of the revenue that comes in from the solution. So that's the plan, to scale it across. We just need to get the right partners on board. So if someone is listening that is a recipe provider or has the product database from a country, just let me know.
Great, definitely. I will make sure that the news goes out and people can get in touch with you. Another key thing that I wanted to ask was that a lot of companies, majority of the companies are struggling during the COVID. How are you coping up in terms of your financials?
So we were lucky enough to do a small investment round prior to this. So we have money to sustain at least a year. So that's good. And we also kind of we have additional applications out for more grant funding, as well as have more and more customers reaching out to us now, doing other stuff that we can earn back kind of the revenue that we lost from the restaurants. So in that way, we are set, and just by the money that we have in the bank, we're able to survive a year. So
Wow.
The more that we get in, the better.
Good to hear that. And what is the future plan for TotalCtrl?
Taking over the world.
Yeah.
So the plan is to scale our solutions. Prior to Corona, we were in the rollout stage or phase. So that was kind of stopped because we were rolling out to big chains and restaurants and stuff like that. But we're still we have the same goals in terms of how many customers, the target for revenue and stuff like that. So the plan now is to make the most out of this situation, provide technology, make sure that they use our existing technology, and then make a more holistic solution for the entire value chain. Make sure that they have control of the data, make sure that they can prevent food waste where it's possible and save a lot of time and money. So making the value chain more sustainable is the ultimate goal.
Thank you, Charlotte, for coming on this show and talking about TotalCtrl and how you have been helping the food waste space and helping the global CO2 emissions, and also being a part of, I will not call you a food waste management company. I would rather put across as a innovative tech solution company who can actually come on board and take care of inventory, sales forecasting, pricing, marketing, and so it's an end-to-end solution. And I hope to see TotalCtrl growing really fast the way you have been doing the last 2.5 years. So thank you for being on this show.
Thank you for having me.